Yo, what's good? This video is going to be on components. Now, components are these little pieces right here in your arsenal, and they dictate a lot of things when it comes to battling and strength. So if I click here, you can place 5 components in any force. This is the army one, and you'll see it here. The first one's army because of the tank on the right. Second one's navy because of the boat, and the last one is air force. My navy is my main march, so it has my best components. This is the most important component very early on in the game. The higher the better. It is high rate of fire. It increases your attack speed by extra certain percentage depending on what level it is. When you're level 10, when you have RF 10 or high rate of fire 10, it is extra 300%. The earlier you have this as at a higher level, the more advantageous it is for you. You'll win more fights. When it gets to everyone having ROF 10, it changes slightly. But that's when you need to make sure that your march is built correctly, because if people have the same high rate of fire as you and you haven't built it correctly, you'll lose fights. The fights that you may have been winning before, you will begin to lose. But this is extremely important to get to level 10 as quickly as possible, and you don't have to focus on it later on. Now, the other ones are weapon, which increases your attack. Slightly different to damage increase, just to let you know, which increases your damage. 2 different stats, but both hurt your enemy. Damage increase is better overall with like hero skills compared to attack. Just be aware. Armor buff, which increases the HP. And then you have decreased damage taken, so it reduces the amount of damage you take. Those 5 are the PvP components, so player versus player, when you're attacking another player. Those are the ones that you want to use when attacking another player. As you can see that in every single slot in this one, because that's how I'm doing it. But if you're just using one march, like your main march, just put it all there. Like, for example, navy is actually my main march, so all my best components are there. If you want to merge your components, as you can see, I have a weapon buff level 9 in all 3. However, I'm using all 3, so I'm not merging them right now. I'm waiting to get another level 9 weapon buff before I merge this to a 10. If I merge it now, I will get a 10 and it will go on my navy, but that would mean that my army or my air force is weaker, so I'm not merging them. But if you are only using one march, one force, merge everything straight away, because you're only using one force. You only need one force to be strong. Merge everything straight away. On my second plan are my PvE components, or my player versus environment or player versus event. I can't remember what the E actually stands for. I think it is environment. But these are the ones that you use on the world boss or your alliance droid or sand table. These are the kind of components that you will need to use for those events. So you don't use these against players. If you use these against players, you will lose most of the time unless you're extremely, extremely strong. But mainly crit buff, weapon buff, hit, damage increase, and crit damage. The world boss is very specific in the terms of if you hit it with 2 different forces or 2 different special elements, you get an attack boost, which is why I only have them in certain slots, so army and navy, because I only hit the army world boss. So I'm using my navy to gain an advantage, and I'm using the army to gain the extra attack boost because it's the same type. It doesn't lose out on suppression. We'll talk about suppression later. But those are the components, those are the basics. In terms of getting more components, you can get them through events. You get them through boxes, alliance donations. You can get them through World Boss. You can get stones. I don't think I can show you because I don't have Alliance Help right now. But you can get stones for Alliance Help and level 6 resources, farming on level 6 resources, and take them to your craft center. In your craft center, you can craft level 1 component chest boxes using ore residue and gold. And you can also craft level 3 components. Most people just come in here and craft high rate of fire. They don't usually craft anything else until their high rate of fire is done. As you can see across the bottom, these are the stones that I'm talking about. You want to try and even them out. I mean, most people say it's like an OCD thing or like just a satisfying thing to see, but you actually want to try and even them out on the day that you're going to craft as best as possible, because you want to try and get as many components in as possible. So currently I have 7 of the orange ones, 0 obsidian, 1 green, and 3 purple. I would try and get obsidian, jade, obsidian, jade, obsidian, jade, purple, obsidian, jade, purple. So I would build it in that way, and I wouldn't even ask for the orange one because I'm trying to get to that 7. If I don't end up getting there, whatever I have on the day, I'll craft what I have, and then I'll go again the next day depending on what comes in from my level 6 resources and the Alliance Help. And then you just keep merging, and hopefully you'll end up improving everything else around you. I suggest getting 1 of each component to level 10 at a very minimum, just because, I don't know, maybe you want to mess around with decks, you want to mess around with invulnerability. You don't really use them, but if you want to mess around with them, why not have them at the highest level? But after that, you'll be throwing in some components that you're not using anymore into mastery, so that won't even be a problem. But that is components. You can mess around with it if you like. You know, you've got the SVS Arena, you've got Expedition. Test them out, see how they work. You know, you've got Warzone Exercise. Try them in there, understand them. Very important as you're growing. Once you get to like all 10s, other things start to matter. So that's the video. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.